Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to the Underbase podcast on YouTube. Here we're going to be posting a selection of the IDW Transformer comic read-through and reviews that folks will find on our regular podcast feeds. If you want to subscribe to the full podcast, click on the links down below. Or you can like and subscribe the vids, and we'll put up some additional shows from other IDW Transformer titles, Dreamwave, Marvel Classics, and other related series. Just to note, all our shows cover every aspect of the issue, so expect full spoilers. And with that said and done, let's get on with the show.
Transmission is go. Underbase is live. And welcome to the Underbase. I'm your host Matt, and I am joined as ever by Chris.
Hey.
And Adam.
Hello.
So we are here for Transformers More Than Meets the Eye issue 40. Last issue we had the DJD on holiday issue, backstory issue, they're not all bad issue. And this week we're back on The Lost Light with the fallout from everything that happened during Elegant Chaos. And before we start this, you boys have seen Age of Ultron, I take it?
Woo, yeah!
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, let's try this. Let's try the other way. You guys have seen the pictures of the possible Joker costume, or Joker from Suicide Squad?
I don't know.
I saw a picture of Jared Leto after he'd shopped at Hot Topic for too much.
You know, I'm not judging Jared Leto.
I like him. I genuinely like him, and I think he'll do a good job. But it's just a bit weird looking with his shirt off and whatnot.
I look upon that truly in a non-joke. It's this to me. I look at that and I see the snake eating its own tail. I see the Joker as he is envisioned by the. Well, this tweet of mine got quoted on Kotaku, so I'll just repeat it verbatim. The leather trench coat wearing, crow loving, wallet on a chain crowd who have always been the Joker's biggest fans despite not actually reading the comics. This is if they wanted to do themselves up like a cool, weird, different Joker for Halloween, like this is what they would do to themselves. And now the official media is reflecting that, and it's a snake eating its own tail. And I don't consider any kind of reflection on Leto. But, jeez.
So it's come out today, it's been said today, supposedly, that that's not actually going to be how he looks in the movie.
Oh, right, really? Has it not?
Yes.
I hadn't heard. Where did this come from?
There's been an article somewhere, people have been posting on Facebook and on Twitter. Basically, it was advertising or some such tosh. It feels like a hopeless backtrack.
Yeah, it's right. If that's true, that just sounds like they've seen everybody make fun of it and they're pulling back on it. Because frankly, scrub the tattoos, clean up the teeth. That's a good-looking Joker.
Well, yeah. Promo pics isn't what he's going to look like. Gabriel Gray.
Like what? Who?
An industry insider.
Mm-hmm.
So, why you'd have promo pics like that, I don't know. If that's not going to be the movie.
Got everyone talking.
No, it did. That cannot be denied.
Yeah.
It did. I'm not. What I just said there might have sounded like mad or something, but I'm not even mad because I don't know what I expected from it. But when I saw that picture, it didn't feel wrong to me that that's what it would wind up being. You know, it's a Joker that's tailor-made to go along with the juggalo prostitute Harley that we're almost certainly going to get from this film, straight out of the Arkham games.
Mm.
And I've said before, I don't remember if it was on this show, because I suppose why would it ever be on this show? But I don't understand why the Joker is in this film anyway. You know, this is the Suicide Squad film. Joker's got nothing to do with this. I mean, my position is that this film is basically getting made because Harley and the Joker are in it. And it's not that they were making a Suicide Squad movie and they're like, wait, let's put Harley and the Joker in it. It's like, can we make a Suicide Squad movie if we put Harley and the Joker in it?
Well, it definitely came across as we are introducing Batman. We need somewhere to introduce the Joker that's not in a Batman film. That's literally how it came across as a concept.
If this Joker existed in sort of an isolation, if he was just this odd, if he was just this figure... I mean, to be honest, the Joker in the Suicide Squad movie, if they play it the same way they play the Joker in Assault on Arkham, not that that was a particularly good film, but if they play the Joker that way, that's not bad. But I have this horrible notion that he's just going to be part of the squad in the film, which is like fundamentally stupidest possible way to play it. But I can't envision that character as seen in that piece of artwork being Batman's nemesis, fighting Batman. I mean, it's not a million miles removed from Grant Morrison's sort of David Bowie serial killer Joker. I mean, that was the first thing that clicked in the back of my brain before I started to dissect it and look at all the tattoos and everything. But that's why it's like, it's really close, and then they've just dirtied it up. The tattoos are like somebody screaming for attention. Somebody who's like, "Oh, look how crazy I am."
It looked to me as if the committee at DC Films or whoever has got together and gone, right, what's iconic about the Joker? Green hair, yeah. Purple, yeah. The ha thing, yeah. Okay, how are we going to get that in? Oh, and the smile, yeah. Well, we can't really get that in the same way. Oh, I don't. Why don't we tattoo him with it? Yeah, that's a good idea. What else can we put on?
It was Jeff who said that the big tattooed mouth on the arm was kind of like an overblown equivalent of people who tattoo a mustache on their fingers. You have the mental image of the Joker just bringing his arm up in front of his own mouth. Smiles. Oh, what a pile of trash.
It also begs the question, who would tattoo the Joker?
Well, this is it. The idea that the Joker would sit still long enough to have that done to him.
Yeah, and really, okay, they're nicely done. They look good tattoos. Which means actually it was somebody with a bit of skill. It wasn't just someone doing prison tats.
Yeah, it wasn't Harley that did it or something.
No, exactly. Unless they're going to make her a tattoo artist. I don't know. Psychiatrist, tattoo artist. Backstories. But surely, as you say, he wouldn't be able to sit still for long enough. And the likelihood is he'd kill the person that did it.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
So every tattoo, is that somebody different?
Good question.
Yeah. No, I'm seriously, you're not welcome. Heard what happened at the last place. It just, the whole concept was...
Anyway, Transformers comics, though.
Transformers comics.
Yeah, those are other comics and other comic-related things.
They are, but they're going to be big, and it doesn't matter how much we moan, I imagine we'll all be going to see it at the cinema.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm resigned to these things.
We're part of the problem.
Yeah, completely. I'm going to go and see Fantastic Four.
Okay, no, I'm not lowering myself to that point.
To be honest, the last trailer, honestly, somehow, I don't know what happened, but it looked decent.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Doom.
It did. Well, Doom, it was still one of the better looking Dooms I've seen in live action.
Wow, slim pickings.
Indeed. But the first one looked like a good trailer for a science fiction movie. But this one actually did start to look like a superhero movie. There were some moments of levity in it. I don't know. It made me feel confused inside.
I mean, probably more on this being, both of you actually being sort of bigger comic readers than I am, but obviously Marvel Comics is massively hamstringing the likes of Fantastic Four and Wolverine films and the like, it seems at the moment, and Deadpool all being killed off or cancelled.
Well, Deadpool's not gone, though. Deadpool, I mean, I know people talked about the death of Deadpool and everything, but what happened in that comic was that the final incursion from Avengers and New Avengers happened, and the whole world died, and Deadpool just died along with the whole world. And the very next month, there's a brand new Deadpool Secret Wars tie-in miniseries coming out.
Right, okay.
So he's not gone anywhere.
So it's just that world died.
Well, that world being the mainstream Marvel universe died, yes.
Ah,
but
right.
But that's the whole thrust of Secret Wars is that everything dies, and when everything dies, Secret Wars begins.
Right. Is it going to do?
Matter of fact.
Is it going to do as badly as Convergence is doing?
You know, I haven't looked sideways at Convergence, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I have quite a lot of faith in Secret Wars because of the creative team involved and the fact that it's a culmination of a 3-year story. Anyway, so.
If you're going to read any crossover, listeners, this is just absolute across the board comics. If you're going to read any crossover, A, don't, but B, buy the single issues in the right order, because trying to collect anything like that in trade never makes any sense and never works. There'll always be something missing, or you'll always be missing a month of stories in the middle of something that's actually fleshed out the main book that you're reading. It's just a stinking mess all the time. Blackest Night was the last one I tried to do that with, and that.
Well, Blackest Night did a very good job of collecting itself, though.
It still missed a few issues. It wasn't terrible, but it's still, you read it and then you went, oh, but I've missed so much. Oh, and...
But you didn't. You didn't miss anything. I think the only issues of Blackest Night that weren't collected were the 2 Booster Gold issues. And I mean weren't collected in a dedicated trade.
No, there was Teen Titans one.
The Teen Titans miniseries, yeah, that was collected in a book with Flash and Superman, I think.
No, there was definitely... What was it?
There were 6 3-issue miniseries in Blackest Night, and they were collected to 2 books, 3 miniseries apiece.
Yes, there were, but there were some single-issue tie-ins that
there
just
was a
weren't
series
collected.
Of single-issue tie-ins, like a month of one-shots that were put out, and they were in a book together. Atom and Hawkman, weird, cancelled comics, Power of Shazam. That was the idea, is like they brought cancelled comics back from the dead for a month.
Anyway, if you're going to read Convergence, well, if you're the one person out there reading Convergence, and you're going to read Secret Wars, just buy the singles.
Well, Convergence seems like that there shouldn't actually be a problem collecting it, because it's DC's Band-Aid. DC is putting nothing else out except Convergence for just these 2 months. So it's 42-issue miniseries. So there's nothing to miss, you know? It'll be like Flashpoint. I mean, Flashpoint covered absolutely everything in a couple of trades. It'll be like that. Or they'll pull that together all right. Now, Secret Wars, God alone knows. I mean, that's I mean, you know, I'm Marvel Zombie, but oh my god, I'm reading so little Secret Wars outside of the main series and anything that's being written by the regular writer of a series. I don't care about all this stuff.
And it's days like this where I'm glad I'm not involved in a universe anymore. So expensive. How many times were there for Spider-Verse ad?
Well, Spider-Verse, the Spider-Woman, Scarlet Spiders. There was another one that I think...
And then in Spider-Woman, and was there another ongoing series at the time?
Well, they launched Silk and Spider... Yeah, Silk, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman launched out of Spider-Verse. There was that mini-series, the Spider-Verse, like, one-shot type things.
Well, Spider-Gwen came out, and Spider-Gwen and Silk came after. They weren't part of
they launched out of it, like, afterwards.
But Spider-Woman was part of it.
Yeah, and Scarlet Spiders, and there was one more, but I forget what it is.
Spiders miniseries, there was the Spider-Man 2099, that was the other one.
That was it.
Tie-in.
Yeah.
There was 2 Spiders, Team Up 3, Scarlet Spiders, 3 issues of that, and tie-ins in 2099 and Spider-Woman. And then there was the Edge of prequel miniseries as well from before that.
Either way, a lot.
Quite easy to collect, though. I mean,
it was, yeah.
It's very orderly again. And I meant collecting in graphic novel form, not even talking about picking it up. But I'm sure 2 books will do all of that.
Well, they've only got 1 up so far, and I'll be intrigued to see exactly how much is in it.
Well, I'm sure that it being Marvel, they'll start with a $75 hardcover oversized omnibus that puts everything in it, because why would you want to make money when you can sell a small number of a huge item?
Well, we've discussed crossovers.
Like so.
We're coming back to Transformers by coming into the stories that are running alongside Combiner Wars, which will be collected as a trade by itself as well. So tying it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Just tying it all together, people. And we're here for issue 40. Written by James Roberts, art by Brendan Cahill, coloured by Joanna Lafuente, led by Tom B. Long, edited by John Barber. The story so far. After Brainstorm turned out to be a Decepticon and went back in time to kill Megatron before he was born, you've really missed out if you haven't been keeping up. The Lost Light is due for some quiet relaxation. And yet, we have some covers. The regular cover features a massive Ratchet holding his friends in the palms of his hands. The subscription cover features Tailgate being all Marty McFly, and the retailer incentive has Magnus, Nautica, and Ratchet looking down on Brainstorm in a spotlight. Regular cover by Alex Milne, coloured by Josh Perez, subcover by Nick Roach, coloured by Josh Burcham, and the retailer incentive by Brendan Cahill, coloured by Joanna Lafuente. Adam, which one do you want? Which one have you got?
Don't have any.
Oh, of course. We're anybody. Sorry, we are recording this before the comics are available, so which makes a nice change for us.
So yeah, I haven't got any yet,
and you will get the Ratchet cover.
I suspect I won't have a choice. Do you know what? After the last issue, I think I was sour on every single cover. I actually like all three, for different reasons. You know, but the main reason that I like all three is that they tick my favourite box of a comic cover actually having something to do with what's in the issue, rather than just a picture of something. I can't choose between them, to be honest with you, but for the sake of picking one, I'm going to go for the subscription cover because I like the colours, because it stands out.
And Chris?
Yeah, cosign, basically. Yeah, it's a really strong crop of three covers. I really like them all. I'll probably get the Ratchet one, but I do also really like the subscription one for the colours.
Well, I may as well not add anything to that because you pretty much covered it. I would invariably get the Ratchet one, but I do like the subcover for the colours and just the joy of it. There's just a fun on there that is just captured nicely, and as well as the Cyclonus getaway relationship, as it were, and Tailgate the bot in between. And we open with Ratchet struggling to say goodbye to Roller, to Farmer, and then to Hunter, and just drive that knife in and just twist it as a bombshell is watching them.
Yeah, I didn't even see bombshell at first.
Just twist that knife. These are all key events that we've covered in the Transformers series since IDW took over. Just before Pax and Roller ship out to Rhodion, as we've seen recently. Just before Ratchet goes off to Earth with Farmer going to Delphi, and just before the end of Devastation.
Now you'd be past Maximum Dinobots by this stage. This is after they separate him from Sunstreaker. So.
Yeah. With Bombshell about to take care of Hunter. Chris, good to have little reminders of these.
Well, the Hunter one is harsh. But it's also it's good to touch on the Roller one in particular, because I think maybe people did wonder what, Ratchet was the obvious odd bot out he was missing whenever we had our time travel to that period.
Do you think that will end up being something more than this, though?
Probably not. No, I mean we just knew that. Ratchet had said before that Shadow Play, way back when, said Shadow Play was the last time that all three of them were together. So we knew that there was some reason that Ratchet didn't go with Pax and Roller when they left, when we joined them up again in Elegant Chaos. So this is just filling in that little blank.
And is that a transformation cog that Farmer's working on?
It is foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. So foreshadowing through knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to read into it too much. It's like Pharma does say that Prowl wants him to go to Delphi, but we've reached a point with Prowl where it's like, did Prowl have some kind of knowledge of what might happen? Knowing that it was DJD territory and everything, and it was being sent to Delphi. was what happened to Pharma. Was how it all went wrong for Pharma. But I don't want to read too much into it. But the fact that Prowl is the one who he says that Prowl's the one who wanted to send him to Delphi, and we've reached a point with Prowl as written by Roberts where you start to suspect everything that he does. It's like, did he know what was out there waiting for
him? Did he send him as a distraction? Did he send him as a punishment, or is it just one of those things?
I don't care to dwell on it.
Yeah. And then the lovely nod to the Asian series and that era with the speech boxes for the Hollow.
Yeah.
Which just...
contemporary television as well.
And we come to 50 miles outside Fortuna, the capital of Scarvix. The quantum engines are recharging. As you'll remember, the quantum engines were quite nicely drained by jumping around in time a bit. So we haven't actually moved. Tailgate is flying a hoverboard through the ship. There's no easy way to put it.
Nope, that's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing. He's literally flying a hoverboard through a ship. We have some nice comedy moments going through it. And we find out that Mirage has opened a bar because Swerves is dead. The only people in there, in fact, are Ratchet, Swerve, 10, and Tailgate enters and crashes through the door. And we get some focus on 10. We get some character interest, as it were. He's not just a background, but they're starting to actually talk about who he is. They talk about the Ambus test, where basically doesn't have a high enough sentience threshold.
Yeah, we've heard about the Ambus test or back during Dark Cybertron, but yeah, it's their judge of sentience.
So, are they an automaton? Are they a sentient being?
Well, we don't really know what the legislature. We know Tyrus made them, but didn't he make them from bits of the Circle of Light at one point?
Yeah, I think that was the story. They were recycled people.
I mean, they probably weren't all made from that, but certainly some of them were made from bits of the Circle of Light, I think. So,
So, what the suggestion is that they should have a level of sentience, or?
To some extent, perhaps. Maybe. I mean, what Ratchet says here is that some people argue that the Ambus test sets the sentience threshold too high, and that if it were applied strictly, Ravage wouldn't be considered sentient.
Yeah, be understandable. I mean, there's just going through this. Obviously, we can assume that Tailgate is taken Back to the Future 2 a little bit too seriously.
Yeah, well, if we went off now to visit some alien planet and they were selling hoverboards, I'd probably pick one up myself.
Would you fly it through a ship into a bar?
Well, the ship is miles long, so I think there's room.
But there's clearly not.
No, it's just a bit rubbish.
I do like him blaming the dodgy corridor.
Dodgy corridor. Let's see if we get some new ones. I like this bit where Swerve is setting up his pyramid of glasses because he's got nothing else to do until it comes spiraling in and he misses it completely, and it's Ratchet.
It's a version of comedy. It's a version of the expectation. It's what's funny.
There's no doubt Swerve is quoting Transformers the movie there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, see, I've seen people say that. I cannot bring to mind where that's supposed to be, where that's from.
It's Cup, isn't it, on the roadworks?
Yes.
Right before some hot rodding young punk comes smashing through it.
Yeah.
Which is what doesn't happen here.
Do you know the worst moment of my life has just happened? People were referencing Transformers the movie. I was thinking of Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, God.
Why?
Oh, I feel like I need to stab myself in the leg with a scalpel.
Oh dear, that's bad.
Yeah.
No wonder you couldn't remember where the line was from.
No, that's what I mean. I was just sitting there going, where's that? That doesn't...
You thought it was some innuendo about Megan Fox or something.
Or some dog humping something. It's... Oh, no, I feel like I need to stab myself just really hard. Or just go and watch the film again. It'd be probably a little bit less dangerous.
Which one? You seem to get them confused.
No. Anything else to pull out of this scene before we jump into the next one?
I like that Mirage's bar name has quotation marks as part of its name. We don't do the book that is formerly known as RID on the show, but we learned in the last issue of
Yes.
RID that Mirage had opened the bar, and that Mirage's bar had already failed.
And what could have put? And as we learn quickly in this book, what happens and who's responsible for that. This issue was supposed to come out before the last issue of.
Well, I don't know if it was, to be honest. Because, I mean, okay, yeah, More Than Meets the Eye has been running late this year so far, but this is this month's issue.
Yeah, and James always said it'd be out in the fourth week, didn't he?
It's usually a last week of the month book is More Than Meets the Eye, so, yeah. But we're up to date now with More Than Meets the Eye. This is April's issue of More Than Meets the Eye.
So, we have the title of our book as we come into the next scene. Chief Medical Officer Ratchet in, Our Steps Will Always Rhyme. And we have the trial of Brainstorm. He has the dubious honour of being the first person to appear before the Lost Light Internal Legal Affairs Committee. Or as Chrome Dome points out, Lilac.
I don't feel like that's supposed to be coming from Chrome Dome.
No, that's supposed to be coming from Brainstorm, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no, Brainstorm with sass.
And he's the one that then says, forget it. So
Yeah.
Because the room is actually bathed in lilac light. On the committee are Zaron, Rodimus, Ultramagnus, and there's a chair there for Megatron. But he's
busy being sad.
And
I'm sad.
It's a private proceeding. The only people who are allowed in are the ones that have connection to recent events. So, Run, Nautica, Riptide, Nightbeat, Perceptor, Rewind, Ratchet, and Cyclonus.
Trying to remember why Ratchet should be here? No reason I can think of.
No? Anyone?
He didn't time travel. Everyone else there time traveled, and Nautica is Nautica and Nightbeat. Nautica's Brainstorm's closest friend, and Nightbeat was involved with the quantum thingamajiggy on the other ship, which is part of this. But I can't. Ratchet there doesn't seem to be any reason for Ratchet to be there.
Yeah, if he was there as sort of from a medical point of view, then he should be elsewhere in the room. I wouldn't expect him to be in the viewing ceremony.
Also, I feel like Matt Quirrell should be here.
Yeah, you wouldn't though, would you?
Well, no, this is it. Yeah, he probably should be, but it's like I'm kind of like, why? I'm not like hi Riptide. I'm not sure what you bring to the proceedings. Because I mean, to be honest, I really only realized it when I was looking over the scribe. It was like, what was the point of Riptide even time traveling? Nothing. Like, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He was a crowd. I mean, I guess it was just maintaining the book's internal logic, because the point was that he had the same very rare spark type as Chrome Dome and Rewind did. So if that was one of the spark types, then it would make sense that they would bring everybody that they could who had that spark type. Chrome Dome, Rewind, and Whirl. Yeah, they had the same. So it would make sense that he went with them, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything in the entire story.
Well, he sat around in boat mode.
He was a boat for a panel, yeah.
Yeah, well, what do you want? You've got to get the alt mode on display so they can sell the toy.
Everybody else who went back in time had a reason to it, or a part they played in the plot, or an emotional moment. Riptide is just there and acted the douche. Much the same as Slaughterhouse, but I accepted that because obviously the point was that he was somebody who wasn't on the ship originally. Mm. But he's going to need to start distinguishing himself with a crippling emotional problem very soon, or he's just not out here.
Are you concerned he's just going to become another character rather than actually have something that makes him...
No, it's not that he's going to become another character. He's going to become somebody who's always hanging about despite having no reason for being there.
Mm.
But we shall see. I'm sure there is a bubbling psychological issue waiting to come out. So
the trial basically goes, Are you a Decepticon? Yes, I am a Decepticon, but I was a Decepticon because they had access to the parts I needed to build a time machine to go and kill Megatron.
Very satisfying answer. Wasn't sure how that was going to go. Very satisfied with how it played out. Very simple, very straightforward. If I had something to say against with it, it does seem maybe it's a bit too neat. It seems like it's like, yeah, this happened, and we're tidying it away, and on to the next thing. But they give it all due deference, and I'm satisfied with it as an answer.
Adam?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, to be honest with you. It sort of summed it up all very nice and neatly and made sense, and yeah, I was absolutely fine with it, to be honest.
More than meets the eye can sometimes have a tendency to be neat. You know, we've mentioned it before, like whenever we're at the end of a mystery, More Than Meets the Eye will give a not unnoticeable amount of panel space over to having characters quietly as asides or loudly for the audience just explain, this is why that was like that 3 issues ago, and this is why that was that, and this explains that, just to neatly tie it all off, you know, so you're not left going, but what about, you know, so there's a neatness to this, but it feels right. It doesn't stick out as being overly neat to me. I mean, I detect the neatness, but not in a distracting way, if that makes any sense.
But the other thing they also touch upon during this as well is other Brainstorm, or as Brainstorm refers to him, idiot version.
Yeah.
And that the actions of that Brainstorm they can't pin on him because it's a different character. It's a different person.
This seems a little bit like giving time over to something that they have to give time over to, because it needs to be addressed for the benefit of the characters. But for us as an audience, we actually have an answer for this already after last issue. So, you know, it's like when he says, maybe my handler got in touch with Brainstorm and Proof of Allegiance, maybe he tried to do a deal, and maybe, and yeah, we know that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's probably, again, it's neat. It's the dialogue is very tidy. It says, maybe this is what happened, and everybody's like, yeah, maybe. Is that you? Yeah, okay. And we as an audience go, yeah, it would need to be, because this can't go on much longer, because I knew that already. So it's very, what's the word I want? It makes very economic use of its page space to deal with this and then get on with it. Very deft hand. Off here.
Adam, any issue with the repetition of it? You know, this is one of the complaints one of the comments we regularly make about More Than Meets the Eye is it gets a bit talking heads when it's explaining stuff, and this is almost literally in some panels talking heads.
No, I think you needed it for this. Especially like, you know, Chris was saying with the alternate Lost Night where there's a duplicate of everyone there, including Brainstorm, and sure, the last issue answered some of those questions, but I think you need it in the same way a television show would do exactly the same thing. Yeah. You know, if there's something that a character knows that another character doesn't, but the audience does, you've still got to have that reveal or have it spelled out, and you know, and I just think it's a necessity here. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
So, Brainstorm's punishment. And this is where we get our little pivot point of the issue.
Well, just before we move on to the punishment, though, how much do you just want to tell Perceptor to bugger off when he stands up and applauds?
He's doing the slow clap from Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah, he is. But it's like, what are you even doing?
He was hoping everyone else would join in, and they didn't. Left him standing there.
You would have to, because I'm like, okay, it's like, I get the idea is probably supposed to be that, hooray, Senpai finally noticed me. You know, Brainstorm has finally been Perceptor's finally taken notice of Brainstorm. But I'm like, that wasn't a speech worthy of a slow clap. You know, and it has nothing to do with what Perceptor actually has now come to respect him for.
I'd like to think that the Magnus, Zaron and Rodimus are covering their mics and reacting the same way we are as well. What the hell? What's going on?
What is he doing? It's like, sit down and shut up. Nobody said anything worthy of applause.
There's a lengthy pause before Magnus continues. The committee has reached a decision.
Yeah, how do we recover from this?
We'll refrain from applause from the peanut gallery.
In fact, it's a toss-up in this entire little sequence. What's funny, Perceptor's clap or Riptide's saying he built a time machine.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Hands up, everyone who's ever built a working time machine. Oh, time machine, sorry.
For me, it's Rodimus taking Ultra Magnus's...
That's great as well.
And then just dropping it back on the front of Mr. And it's literally 2-3 panels, and that's it. And all he's done is rearrange the letters. But it just goes to show how little Rodimus gives a monkeys about everything. He can't focus. You know, this is the first ever trial on the Lost Light. And all he can do is mess with Magnus. Just, what a jerk. So the punishment is that he's basically confined to his quarters, not allowed in the workshop except under strict supervision, and his life work is going to be destroyed. But he's allowed to stay on the ship. Which he, obviously questions. You're letting me stay on? Well, yeah. Would you like to kick it off? No. And he looks round to where Nautica has already stormed out.
Crushed her wrench. This was a point. This was a discussion I had with someone afterwards. That it never dawned on me really in the course of reading Elegant Chaos, but Nautica was a noticeable absentee from that storyline. It didn't occur to me at the time because it was a very full storyline. I'm not sure that there was room to really deal with the emotional fallout of what Brainstorm did in that, because even his oldest friend, Chrome Dome, didn't really get room on the page to react. The biggest reaction we got of it was like, he's not a Decepticon, is he? Right, moving on. And that was it. Like, that was all they had time to do as far as like actually emotionally exploring Brainstorm's thing. But it did seem odd that, in retrospect, I realized this when it was pointed out to me, it was odd that Nautica, who's a quantum engineer, someone who specializes in this stuff, was not the one on hand to do the science. And it was Perceptor, who was essentially new to it all, who was the one who was doing it. She seemed, she seemed very just missing from the storyline. And I'm not honestly sure I'm totally satisfied with her involvement in this as a wrap-up for it all. But there's more to that to come. So.
Yes. Now, not having gone back and looked, is she actually absent from the issues completely, or is she?
Yes, completely.
So, could it be that she was somewhere else, a story that will get played out?
Don't think so.
Okay, cut that idea down. Thanks, Chris. So you just sidelined for those issues?
Yeah, and it was. I mean, as I say, I don't know that there was room in the story for her, but it was odd that she wasn't there.
Especially when Riptide was.
I mean, again, that's the story playing with its own the rules of its internal universe. But yeah, well, he didn't take up any page space.
So, as far as a punishment goes, Adam, is this what you expected, or were we expect? Well, I'll be honest, I didn't expect this to happen so quickly. No. I thought we were going to get something a little more drawn out, but then again, More Than Meets the Eye does like to fire along at a pace when it does. So, I mean, was this sort of the resolution you were expecting to this?
No, I mean, it kind of... It's nice that as the issue progresses, we see that there's obviously a tie-in here with the last time they dealt with somebody who'd committed a crime or done wrong on the ship in the form of drift. But I don't know. I didn't have any expectations, to be honest with you. Like, I hadn't given it thought because, like you say, I didn't actually expect to have a resolution or have it even discussed this quickly, and especially after the last issue. I didn't think this would be on the table. So, but as it goes, I've got no problem with it. I think it makes sense with what got said at the hearing, and as far as we know at the moment, everything is what it is. So there's no reason for him to be treated like that. I mean, what are you going to do? Send him off to space prison? I don't know.
Yeah, do they? They don't have a space prison, do they?
No.
Every other life form hates them and wants them dead. So, and as the actual, what do they do? Send them back to Cybertron? Not really easy to do.
Well, they just packaged 5 other dudes off with Mirage. Off you go, boys. There's a crossover to be had. Anyone else?
There's a repaint to be had. That's all that was. Who can go? Where did Rook come from?
No. You can go to the artist's arse.
Rook, from now on, you will always be known as Afterthought.
I would bet money that he was added to that artwork afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
It's finished.
Yeah, guaranteed. We didn't mention Ravage skulking around during the trial, observing.
Does he?
Yeah.
I see him now. Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Just
shows how much attention I was paying.
A Decepticon being on board.
Yeah. Which then leads us to Magnus going and finding out what Megatron's doing, being sad, and Ravage skulks out of Megatron's quarters as Megatron opens the door. So Megatron knows what's going on. Why wouldn't you if you had someone like Ravage on board? And something that's brought up earlier when Magnus visited Swerve and Swerve is regaling us with the tale is that Magnus is looking for a data pad, and he asks Megatron about it as well. And that's basically what that scene's for, other than to let us know that Megatron is thinking, working. Anyone care to speculate what he might be thinking or working on?
It's hard to know.
Because there is literally nothing. This scene is to remind us of the datapad. And to let us know that Megatron does know.
To touch base with Megatron.
Yeah.
He's being sad.
It's tough being Megatron.
It's not easy being me.
And we cut to the newest, hippest nightclub on the Lost Light.
God, don't you just want to punch it?
It's like the 80s. No, it is the 80s.
Popped collars and pink shirts.
And pink drinks.
Oh, it looks awesome.
Blazers draped over your shoulders. Don Johnson would be very at home here. Where did they get a tree?
Is that a palm tree?
I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, I like the fact Tailgate's got his curly straw back as well. I didn't notice that.
All right, come on, let's talk about this scene, though, because I have feelings.
Do you have feelings?
I do have feelings.
You have feelings. So this scene is Getaway and Tailgate talking. And Getaway's basically plying Tailgate with drink. And is bad-mouthing Cyclonus to Tailgate behind Cyclonus's back, saying he said stuff nasty about Tailgate behind his back. And at the end of the scene, Ratchet comes and gets his hoverboard. But Chris, you've obviously got some feels going on.
What the hell? What the hell is going on with this subplot? It's fucking annoying me now. Not in a, like I'm not annoyed at the comic. I don't consider it a negative. But I am left with every scene these two share. I am left with a feeling of deep uncomfortableness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I am feeling unpleasant after I read these sequences, because it's becoming harder and harder to see this as anything other than Getaway being a creeper. He's using blatantly emotionally manipulative language, quite probably lying about the fact that Cyclonus would say those things, because I don't think Cyclonus has actually even said 2 words to Getaway on panel. So he's trying to drive a wedge between Cyclonus and Tailgate, and he's pouring drink down Tailgate's throat after Tailgate says he doesn't want any more drink. I mean, I hate Getaway now. And Getaway was such a charming character when he was introduced, but I really have come to fucking hate him because he's been a creepy stalker molester, and I don't know what's going on, and I'm really getting very upset about this plot. And I'm surprised it's still going on. That's the thing. It's like you've just said, Matt, More Than Meets the Eye, usually at this sort of thing, I mean, there are plots in More Than Meets the Eye that are long-reaching, that'll last a while. The Mystery of the Time Machine, Skids' amnesia, stuff like that. But this has been going on for a solid year now. A solid year of Getaway creeping on Tailgate. And I really want this to wrap up soon because it is affecting my enjoyment of the book.
But you're still emotionally invested.
I am, but I'm emotionally invested in things like Clovis beat the shit out of him. Like, this is not a shipping thing. It's, I mean, I just hate this dude.
Adam, any strong feelings towards Tailgate being a little bit like that guy with the chest hair and the medallion?
Getaway.
Yeah, I completely see what Chris is saying. It is really uncomfortable, like, comics. Not in a good, uncomfortable David Brent way. It's just a little bit weird.
It's got that feeling that if this was in a TV show...
Somebody getting raped!
Well, it just comes across that it's like, am I supposed to boo and hiss at Getaway for trying to break up Cyclonus and Tailgate?
I assume that that's the idea. I mean, early on, we didn't quite know what to make of it. But at this stage, with this language that he's using, what he's essentially doing is he's doing that abuser tactic of breaking Tailgate's self-esteem down by claiming that someone else said something horrible about him that he denied and said, no, that's not true at all. You're not simple-minded and you're not a coward. No, I would never say that, but somebody that you respect did, so you know that it's actually true. So you just drink more drink. I mean, I'm really getting... I'm surprised it's still going on at this stage. It's making me angry.
I thought they'd forgotten about it, to be honest with you, and it was like one of those. I hope they've forgotten about it.
Yeah,
it's still going on. Obviously, I mean, it's only been coming up intermittently, and it's been a good number of months since it did last come up. But this, in particular, this issue, his way of talking, and I can't believe there's any truth to what he's saying here.
No, not at all.
Cyclonus would call Tailgate a coward? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe he would.
I don't think Cyclonus would call him anything. I think that's the whole point, isn't it? It's just,
Cyclonus wouldn't talk about his feelings about in that sort of way at all with anybody. Never mind this basic stranger, this newcomer. And
we've just had the bit in Elegant Chaos as well, where Cyclonus has just opened a little doorway into his life, or into who he is, by apologising to Tailgate.
Yeah,
and this is 8 months since we had it. This is only the third scene of these guys doing this that we've had.
Yeah. You know what it occurs to me is that basically, in a sense, and I say this is probably in a deliberate storytelling sort of way, in a sense, the audience is also Tailgate in this analogy. Because when we first met this guy, he came on very likable, very charming. Immediately we took a shine to him. He was a nice guy, full of swagger, but funny, charming. And slowly, he's putting the creep on it. I mean, we as an audience are being stalked and molested by Getaway.
The thing I think that actually upsets me about it is that we don't know what his end game is.
Well, that's it. I mean, if I had a clearer picture of where this was going, I wouldn't be so bent out of shape about it. That's why I wanted to end sooner rather than later, because I want to know where it's going, because I need it to be over. I mean, it does. It gives me it legitimately gives me an unpleasant feeling in the pit of my stomach. Reading this scene provoked a very physical reaction from my body. It is yikes. I know.
So we can all agree, Getaway's a jerk.
Jerk doesn't start covering it. And I don't, some freaking sob story about how you used to love somebody who was short isn't going to fucking do it. I mean, I need Cyclonus to beat the tar out of this guy.
So I just don't get the end game. That's the thing that's
it. I mean,
sticking to me, because, obviously the connotations of it are very rapey.
Yeah.
The
assumption would be he, quote unquote, breaks up Cyclonus and Tailgate, not literally, but and you still have to live together in the same large box. So,
well, is he?
What do you think is going to happen?
There's got to be a reason for it. He has to either he gets a sick pleasure out of torturing someone like Tailgate, or he and Cyclonus have history. And he is trying to punish Cyclonus by messing up Tailgate.
Cyclonus and he can't have history.
Well,
dead universe, remember?
No, I try not to. But there's got to be a reason. There's got to be something. And not knowing what that is the thing that makes it really... I think it's because it's putting the humanized spin on it that makes it so nasty without knowing that end game. Because...
Well, but even without knowing the end game, like the manner of speech and the emotional manipulation he puts on Tailgate in this one is creepy and repellent, regardless. But I mean, this is a progressive book, but I can't believe we're heading for robo-rape.
No, I really hope not.
But I mean,
there's nothing set up within the universe where that could be a thing. I mean, there's obviously emotional abuse but
well, the idea. I mean, we do have nemosurgery as an unwilling physical violation of an infant area. So I don't know. I'm scared. I mean, I'm legit. This has affected me. And you see all these posts and commentary about people talking about how deeply they've cried and wept and felt pain in their hearts over more than meets the eye. And I'm like, not one tear ever. Hey, no. But this is messing me up.
Are you going to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, screaming Tailgate, Chris?
I'm screaming for Cyclonus to come and save me. I'm sure I would dream I would be Tailgate.
You're going to wake up and there's going to be a hoverboard by your bed and you're just going to freak out.
I don't know. If there's a hoverboard by your bed, that'd be amazing.
We'll about it later, I'll hoverboard away from all my problems.
So, okay, we've well covered that scene, I believe. I think... but we'll move on swiftly to the med bay and a quarantined hoverboard. And Ratchet is investigating Rodimus, Magnus, Skids, Swerve, Rung, Nautica, and First Aid's there for super scraplets, because they've come in contact with the hoverboard or they've been in a physical proximity to it, and super scraplets can teleport.
Yeah.
So they may have super scraplets that are eating them from the inside out. And while all this is going on, Ratchet's just giving a little bit of advice, just a little bit of chat, just generally being a nice Dr. Ratchet, as well as confronting Rodimus about the inconsistencies of the justice system on the Lost Light, with Drift getting exiled and Brainstorm getting quote-unquote let off.
Overlord killed people.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Nobody suffered for Brainstorm's scheme. It's different. I mean, no, to be fair, obviously, like, Drift didn't actually commit the crime.
No.
So Drift willingly took the fall. It sounds like Ratchet doesn't know that. I mean, we had to suffer through friggin' Empire of Stone where he acted like he didn't know it. Drift had to act like he didn't know he willingly decided to take the fall and act like he'd been kicked out. But Ratchet does sound here like he... But we're supposed to know that's what happened because Rodimus told the whole crew. We know that from one of the Pro stories. But it's not really very inconsistent. Like, half a dozen people died because of the Overlord thing. Brainstorm's thing was always supposed to happen.
Well, yes. You can't really get around that, can you? And we have a good little look into various characters here as well. Nautica being very angry. I think people will be using the line, if I had sarcasm-powered legs, I'd do a happy dance within real life very soon.
No, I didn't like that line.
Seriously, I love that line.
A bit forced. Bit on the nose. It's like, I need to put a witty more than meets the eye-ish line here. What goes here? It just seems a bit on the nose for me.
Do you think James has just got a box and he just sort of pulls out like a tombola, pulls out witty line number 37?
Every once in a while, more than meets the eye will drop a line where it's like, all right, wind your neck in. I get that. I just get that sometimes.
We also have the reveal or the realization for both the characters and for us, the reader. Ratchet's put 2 and 2 together, where before we probably have that Brainstorm was a made-to-order soldier, so if he had completed his task...
Storm was constructed cold.
Yeah. If he'd completed his task of killing Megatron, he would have ceased to exist. Which is kind of the catalyst for Nautica calming down a touch.
And that's a bit too neat for me.
Well, you could have had a whole issue focused on Nautica and Brainstorm, to be honest.
Yeah, you could have. You really could. But I don't mean that in a bad way. Like that I think that was deserving of a bit more time, and that's a bit too neat for me.
Because, quite simply, Nautica in that situation, you know, you're saying Tailgate was the audience. Nautica's the audience. We've been betrayed by a character that we've come to know and love. And all of a sudden, he's a Decepticon. So you could have played that out, and it is within about 3 panels that it's all sorted. And we also find that somebody has left a tiny Minimus Ambus figure outside Ultra Magnus's room. And Magnus sees it as a lack of respect. As a double-page spread, Adam, do you get everything you needed out of this?
Yeah.
Get a hint of what's going on?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but this didn't blow me away or anything either. It kind of, you get a nice little bit of story progression, like what you guys have pointed out with Nautila, and bit of humour as well. I like the line with Swerve. Don't worry, the only thing dead around here is your bar.
Sod off.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I kind of don't have feelings. I don't dislike it. It's just a couple of panels that move it forwards a bit slowly. No, that's about it, to be honest.
And First Aid puts 2 and 2 together on the next page that no super scraplets, funnily enough, but the only thing linking these people is that they're all your friends. Just at the point that Tailgate comes crashing in on another hoverboard and knocks Ratchet over again. Just distracting from the conversation. And
I just got the Back to the Future reference. Hey kid, thanks.
And we find out that 10 is quite the craftsman. He built Tailgate a new hoverboard, including a picture on the back of a little cutesy super deformed Tailgate pulling open a matrix. And Ratchet clicks of where that little Minimus Ambus figure might have come from. So, did we all work out what was going on?
No, I didn't.
No. You didn't see that massive signpost in the middle of the page. Ratchet's saying goodbye.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant with 10.
Oh no, well, that as well. Told you we'd get some character for 10 by the end of this issue. So Ratchet goes a knocking on 10's door. And where does 10 live? 10. 10's 10. And he has carved into the wall a picture of the Lost Light crew.
Oh.
Which is his... Well, I think it's summed up nicely by Brainstorm earlier on, isn't it? You know, I wouldn't want to leave the ship, it's my home. And 10's sort of, he's got his family.
You know, the Swerve's not on it, though.
No, I hadn't. That's a real joke, mate.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
Oh,
Who's the bloke? Who's above Trail Cutter and Ratchet?
The Grotesque.
Oh, okay, would never have got that.
Yeah,
Well, it's the one that Livio has been drawing in place of Streetwise over in the Transformers, so I'm well acquainted with the design to recognise it at the moment.
he's got the wings, hasn't he?
Little wings.
Yeah. Very nice, cute little picture and very nicely done. And basically, yeah, 10 lives down in the depths of the ship. And he's made little models of the ship and the characters. And he's basically made Transformers toys.
Yeah.
For want of a better word. Including a Swerve's bar. You know, Ratchet asks, are these your favourites? But yeah, mine too. It's all very cute and nice and yeah, Ratchet picks up some parts of a sword and some fins and some generic bits, and it hints towards the fact that Drift's missing from the crew. And then he finds a very dedicated little section with a little 10, looking longingly at a Minimus Ambus and a Minimus Ambus, and a Minimus Ambus in truck mode and an Ultra Magnus and an Ultra Magnus in truck mode, looking very much like the upcoming Leader Class toy. 10's just a massive fan of Ultra Magnus.
Oh, bless.
And there's Magnus's data pad, and 10 has dropped off a little Minimus Ambus toy in exchange for his data pad, like just friends sharing. It's so innocent and sweet.
It is. I did not see this coming at all.
No. Ultra Magnus. What's the most important thing on this data pad? Layers by Minimus Ambus.
Like in poetry.
And Ratchet writes a note on the data pad for 10 to take back to Ultra Magnus. Which is it's just a very sweet... It's a real heartwarming scene after some really nasty stuff over the last 3 years. Adam, you're the cold, callous one of the three of us.
How did I get that?
You came in to replace Andy.
Oh, okay. I've got to turn my hatred up to level 12.
This cutesy schmaltz.
No, I liked it. Let's face it. He's making himself little Lost Light toys, and he's got a Magnus toy shelf. You know, I can empathise with that. You know, I'm a Magnus fan myself, so I've got a bunch of Magnus toys on a shelf. I don't know if I'd trade one for a book of poetry, but
even if it was written by Ultra Magnus, your friend.
I don't know. It'd be pretty rubbish. No, it's good. It's nice. It's nice having nice stuff in an issue of More Than Meets the Eye, especially after all the weird robo-rape innuendo that Chris opened our eyes to.
It's also, I think it's not just 10 being, it's sort of that childhood naivety and innocence to it. It's also Ratchet coming down from cantankerous old git that he's been now for so many years. And it's that kind of genuinely impressed, loving grandfather figure and it just adds a real warmth to Ratchet, which actually does then, obviously we know. Let's not spoil the ending, but Ratchet leaves at the end of the issue.
Shocking.
Because shockingly, he had to go and do Empire of Stone.
Honestly, I figured before I started reading this issue, I figured this was the story of him coming back. Figured that's what we were getting.
But no.
No.
So it just sort of, after lots of cantankerous Ratchet over the years, we've had him not being able to say goodbye, and then he's still trying to say goodbye, but not in a very good way. And then you have this scene where actually he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. And he's just found this... There's a few characters that sort of just jump up and down on a character like 10, like Swerve. We just ridicule him, but Ratchet knows what to do. It's really heartwarming.
I tell you what strikes me about 10 as well, as I was talking earlier about this being a progressive comic, and I think that there's a deliberate neurodivergence analogy in this as well. I mean, I think the idea is that they're maybe playing 10 as autistic. For the book that has given us, gay robot marriage and explorations of the gender binary and everything. The Transformers fan club beat you to actually doing the first autistic Transformer, but I think that's what I feel pretty confident that that's the analogy they're going for with this one, which is another feather in More Than Meets the Eye's cap. They're willing to go there.
It does depend how it's played, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Just based on this, where it's like he can't express himself properly, but he's an incredible craftsman, capable of creating beautiful art.
Yeah. So later on, in Swerves, which is really busy, funnily enough, after being dead earlier, Minimus Ambus is walking along with 10 and comes to the bar and he's there to have a drink with 10, which is great. And I love the fact that Minimus Ambus is obviously self-conscious in Minimus Ambus form.
He should be. He looks rubbish. Ultra Magnus is cool and Minimus Ambus isn't.
Which is touched upon earlier in the issue. So it's not only he's coming out of his shell a bit as well, as it were, but nobody's noticed. Nobody cares. So actually, Magnus's issue of everyone knows about Minimus Ambus, so nobody respects me anymore, is all in his head. Everyone's just taking it on, it's Magnus, whatever. And we find out why Mirage's Visages has failed.
Visages.
Yes. Because Megatron turned up to do a poetry reading.
Brilliant.
So good.
Now, could that possibly be what he was working on for the entire thing since Brainstorm came back on board? I just write my poetry. And as Minimus Amber says, someone once said that poetry is a hazardous attempt at self-understanding. It's certainly difficult. And Swerve asks, have you seen Ratchet? Not since there was he left a message on my datapad, although I thought it was a little odd. Oh, what did it say? Dear M, Magnus, I think someone needs a friend, and you could do worse than 10. He's your number one fan. He and I have a lot in common, actually. We're good with our hands, but not with our words, and that can be fatal. Of course, we're not the only ones. This ship is a refuge for the emotionally inarticulate. Oh, people talk all the time. They just don't say very much. They're too worried about people knowing how they feel, too worried about being found out. For better or worse, we're judged by what we do and not what we say. And if it takes us a while to get round to doing something important, well, better late than never. And throughout this narration, we have Brainstorm and Nautica becoming friends again. Brainstorm's Nautica's spanner. We have Getaway and Tailgate fishing off Riptide in the oil pools. We have Cyclonus staring out the window.
I think he's staring into the reservoir.
You think?
Well, it's pink. Well, no, it's not pink. I don't know. Maybe not then. No, maybe not.
No, it's the first thing that I thought, and then I double sort of checked myself on it because it seems like that's what should be happening.
Probably in a Hab suite there. Damn it! I wanted Cyclonus to be aware of this shit. Cyclonus obviously doesn't know, and that's why Getaway tells him not to say anything to Cyclonus, because if he tells him, it'll all come collapsing down. Yeah. Anyway,
Rodimus and Perceptor are burning a lot of briefcases. But Ratchet has managed to snaffle one of them and has taken it to Megatron.
Ravage.
Ratchet. And First Aid comes in to try and speak to Ratchet and finds a 1984 mobile phone and a note saying, "Should the new Chief Medical Officer need to speak to me?" And as the Lost Light takes off and goes one direction, Ratchet goes the other. And so the issue ends. So as an ending then, as a sum up, or as a close down to this, and obviously the build up to Empire of Stone, which we've already had. Chris, Ratchet's leaving.
I might have been more impactful if I hadn't seen it all happen and resolve itself already. Not a fault of More Than Meets the Eye, obviously, because there's no way this was ever scheduled to come before the mini series. So yeah, Ratchet has really been out of the spotlight for a while, so it was good to see some more from him. And frankly, if Empire of Stone had been better, I might have more of an emotional reaction to his departure, but it was trousers, so I don't.
Adam?
Yeah, much the same. I really like how the issue begins with Ratchet being crap at saying goodbye to people, and then finishes with him saying goodbye really well, only to go off and have a terrible adventure.
Yeah.
Never actually says goodbye to anyone, though, does he?
Well, but it's kind of like he leaves on the right, rather than just being a dismissive ass. He leaves it on the right note, just in case he weren't to make it through Empire of Stone, which I think I was the only casualty of.
Well, it's also, he's got to have the memory of those three. You've had Roller, who we are still under the assumption becomes Tarn. Farmer, who becomes
nothing.
Farmer, who becomes a transformation cob harvesting psychopath, and Hunter, who gets basically experimented on and tortured. So, I
didn't see him give a proper goodbye to Drift either, who went on to star in Drift Empire of Stone.
It's like everyone who's not said goodbye to properly really, really, really suffers. So he had to get it right this time. I mean, let's have a look at the quick resolutions then, because this is another nice tidy tie-up issue. We have the resolution of Magnus and Ten getting a character and Magnus getting over some of his issues. We have Nautica and Brainstorm being friends again, which obviously Chris has expressed a bit of a dislike about it being so quick.
Dislike's a bit strong, but it's a bit neat for me.
We have the destruction of Brainstorm's life's work, with some of it maybe continuing. Adam, happy with everything tying up, or the little bits of setup that we have?
Yeah, I think it's, we joke about Ratchet going off to do Empire of Stone, but that's just because we know that's what he does because of the publishing schedule. We've had it. It's nice to have the Drift thing. He's not come back yet, but it's nice to see almost a reconciliation at this end. In More Than Meets the Eye as to why they would go and fetch him or why he would come back. Perhaps it's nice to have Brainstorm's thing tied up. Very neatly. If everything is as it appears, which is always a question with this comic, and And I like the little cliffhanger almost with Ravage rescuing a briefcase from the the destruction of his life's work. Obviously bringing it to Megatron, and hilarity will no doubt ensue from that.
Yeah, hilarity, genocide, one of the two.
When Ratchet turns into that fusion cannon,
Ravage.
That's what
You're doing it now.
It's the same difference. It's all the same. Yeah, I know. Well, Ratchet could turn into one as well.
Yeah, two
That'd
fusion
cool.
cannons. Right, so anything else to say before we discuss the artwork? Any story beats you want to hit, Chris?
I think we got them all.
Cool. Anything, Adam?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, let's talk about Brendan's coming on to More Than Meets the Eye for this issue. How did you find it? Anything you want to highlight, good or bad? And just a general critique of the artwork. Chris, sorry, I should always point.
Well, I don't know if there's anything specific I want to highlight. I just think he's done a very good job. I often say it. I think I've said it probably pretty much every time I've reviewed a book that he's done artwork for. But I mean, I do think, and this issue is proof of it again, I think every new issue that Cahill does, it's Cahill, I believe it's pronounced. I had a discussion with him about the pronunciation of his name at Marco. Because I'm Irish, so I would say Cahill. But American, yeah, he's just Cahill, yeah. So yeah, anyway, I think that every new issue that he does come out with is his best work. It's a constantly the bar chart keeps going up. Every new issue I think is better than his previous one. He's just in a constant state of climb, and I have nothing to say against this issue at all. I think it's all great, top to bottom. I also respect the fact that he's. It's more recognizably, and this is not a slight against somebody in fact, it's not a slight against anybody or any of the other artists who have filled in on More Than Meets the Eye, but I do like the fact that he's not doing his best Alex Milne impression, the way some artists have done to try and make their work match with the tone of the look of the book.
Adam?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think More Than Meets the Eye is probably one of the consistently best looking, certainly, if not Transformers books, like actual comic books out there. It's extremely rare that in 40 issues that there's been much I've had to complain about with the art or, critiques to give. And even when they've had other guest artists on, it's usually been good. But this particular one, I think, is probably one of the prettier issues, I think, ever in the 40 issues. I really, really like it. I think he draws the actual robots really well, and I just love his perspectives he uses in, scenes, the angles. Genuinely impressed. Like, it's really, really good, and I'd like to see more of him. Not at the expense of Alex or any of the other artists that I really like, but I'd love to see him do more work for IDW on the Transformers books, just based on the strength of this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of critiques, but I think they're probably might be script based. But then again, actually, they're not really negatives. It is different, and I think that's one of its strengths. I love the, for want of a better term, jury during the side-on shots of the trial, when they're all just coloured in their primary colour. Just a great way of, this is who it is. You can tell it's just a nice difference, and he uses panels very nicely and outside of panels. And I was so glad to see Siren back in, because I think Siren needs more screen time. Anyone who shouts every single line. It's great for me. Love him. And Joanna's colours. Making sure it is Joanna before I say that. Joanna's colours just add so much to it as well. I remember when we first reviewed Brendan's artwork in Police Action, and one thing myself and Amy highlighted was how well he captured movement and pace of a scene. And it's not something that you can often say about More Than Meets the Eye is that it has great movement or pace. But scenes involving the hoverboard, just they feel their emotion. His storytelling's really solid, which is lovely to see. Yeah, overall, incredibly pleased with it. So let's do our final wrap-up and give it some scores. Adam, do you want to go first?
Ooh, I'm going to set the bar.
I might percept a slow clap you if you're...
I think it's a really, really, really good issue. I thought the last issue wasn't perhaps my favourite, so I think the strength of this coming out of that, maybe my perceptions skewed a little bit. However, I really enjoyed this book from start to finish. I think the art, like I said, is fantastic. Colouring is its usual excellence. If I have to critique something, I think it's the creepy getaway story. That's we've obviously laboured a point on, and is going to give Chris nightmares until it's resolved. Which, knowing this book, it will be around issue 67. Even with that in mind, I don't have a reason not to give this book 5 out of 5.
Wow.
I really don't. I've genuinely enjoyed it that much, and I think everyone involved has done a really good job on it.
Okay, excellent. Chris?
When I first read it, I wasn't sure. I wasn't mad for it. But then I reread it, and it definitely went up in my estimation. The 10 thing, the sweetness of the 10 thing didn't really hit me until the second time through. And I think rereading the whole Ratchet thing, knowing where the issue was going. First time I read it, like, I knew where it was going because I've read Empire of Stone, if you know what I mean. And then when I read it through and I'd seen how the issue it's like when I picked up the issue and it's like, right, well, I see how this is starting. Well, I know how this is ending. But then once I'd actually read it through to the end, and then I'd seen the whole story, and then I went back and read it again and had a better appreciation for it. And I think just everything about it went up in my eyes after I read it the second time. And I think the only thing that's keeping me from giving it the 5, honestly, because it is perhaps the slightly too neat tidying up of Brainstorm and Nautica, and that getaway stuff. It's creeping me. It's like I can't really call it a negative because I have to believe that that's the point of the plot. The point of the plot is to be creepy and unsettling, but it's giving me physical reactions and like unwanted, unpleasant physical reactions, and that's not a positive for me. So I think I'll go for the 4.5.
So even though it's making you sick to your stomach, you'll still give it a 4.5.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing that
yeah, this comic has made me physically ill. It's only a 4.5.
Total shite. 6 out of...
I'm going to give it a 5. It's not just a solid issue, it's a good issue. It's got so much nice stuff to it. It's got character development, and yes, it's tidy and it's neat. And it does get things done maybe a little quicker than I'd want, and doesn't allow for the greatest character exploration that we may have had in characters that we haven't had the greatest amount of exploration in. But it does everything you want it to do. It's entertaining, it's fun, and it's emotional, whether that be good or bad.
It is something that More Than Meets the Eye has been lacking for a while, which is an issue that's just on its own.
Yeah,
and we haven't had one of those since season 2 started. And I feel those were the real strength of season 1, and I think that's why season 2 hasn't just hit the heights of season 1 for me yet. And it certainly sounds like next issue is going to be something similar. We might get back to some episodic adventures for a little bit, some time to be wacky and fun and inventive in ways that aren't big, clever, epic, quote unquote stories. And even though this was essentially epilogue to one of those, I mean, I imagine this must be this must be in the next More Than Meets the Eye trade, mustn't it?
Number 48 has just been announced today, and it's collecting 39 to 44. So it's
39 to.
So it'll be DJD this, and then.
Oh, really? This is. Oh,
so
this
be
is
issue 2.
What's the trade before that collecting then?
Be Elegant Chaos.
Yeah. Oh no, there was the
Which
prologue. I was thinking of that as 3, but of course it was 4 with a prologue, and then there was the Trailbreaker Death issue as well. So that's 5 altogether, isn't it? Because this really feels like it would be, best served as. I mean, to be honest, I would even go so far as to say maybe printed out of order and made the epilogue of the Elegant Chaos trade. To be honest, but such is life. So I was going to say this is really an epilogue to one of those big epic quote unquote stories, but its real strengths are in just pausing all the big stuff and getting back in touch with the characters again.
Excellent stuff. Well, anything else to add, lads?
No.
That's everything.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining me this evening for this issue.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Thank you very much for all of you listening. Remember, it is Free Comic Book Day next weekend.
This weekend.
This weekend?
Yes.
I thought it was the 6th.
No, 2nd.
Oh, it's this weekend, which means you probably...
This weekend's coming.
Which means you'll have probably missed it by the time you listen to this. There's no Atomic Robo this year, so I don't care. But there is
Transformers Robots in Disguise.
There is. Not the book formerly known as Robots in Disguise, the new Robots in Disguise.
I've read it, and it's good, and there are some surprises in there too.
Excellent stuff. So make sure you pick up your copy of that when you go down, and make sure you pick up some comics while you're there as well, and support your local comic book store. And we will see you next time on the Underbase. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Underbase complete. Cease transmission.